clapped out, my car's clapped. Do I get any compensation at all?
More vintage Eric and Ernie on New Year's Eve here on BBC Wales on 1 at 10:25. Stay with us for film comedy next tonight. Peter Sellers stars in Revenge of the Pink Panther.
It's that time of year again.
Surprise!
For generosity.
No presents at all.
Tradition.
Yes. Do you like it? Oh, that's in the lot. Oh, it's much more beautiful. Well, you did such a good job with that.
Goodwill. And dressing up. It's all hands on deck for a 2.4 Christmas. Boxing Day at 8:20 on BBC One.
No! Sorry! Whoa! Oh. Everything's under control. The joke's over. It's the wrong trousers.
Boxing Day at 4 on BBC One.
That went as well as could be expected, didn't it? Hmm?
Only the very best film comedy to take us into the early hours of Boxing Day now on BBC Wales on 1. Peter Sellers is the seemingly indestructible Inspector Clouseau.
Boxing Day on BBC One flips into action at 6 with an unlikely friendship in the family premiere Free Willy. At 7:50, Peggy wants the truth.
Now, you can tell me what's going on.
Going on?
You and Tiffany, and you and Lorraine.
And at 8:20... Oh, frightening! The porters are all at sea, but for how long?
We're leaving port!
And if you don't believe that...
Morning, Miss Meldrew.
At 10:15, will Jodie Foster believe Richard Gere in Somersby?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
Escape from the Leftovers this Boxing Day on BBC One.
He thought he had it all,
Your life as you know it is over.
but on the wrong side of the law.
Your law firm is the sole legal representative of the mob.
He's running scared
If we run, they find us.
in a deadly game.
You think you're pretty smart, don't you?
Tom Cruise takes on The Firm.
You think it's possible?
Friday at 9:30 on BBC One.
A pause for reflection now on BBC Wales on 1 with a modern slant on the story of the Nativity.
This was how the birth of Jesus Christ took place. His mother, Mary, was engaged to Joseph, but before they were married, she found out she was going to have a baby. Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord."
I think Mary had amazing faith. I can't believe how much faith she had, really, because she didn't say, "Oh no, that's terrible," when God told her she was going to have a baby and she wasn't married. I would have said that. But she said, "Oh, that's wonderful. May it be how you've said it."
At that time, the Emperor Augustus ordered a census to be taken. Everyone went to register, each to his own town. Joseph went to the town of Bethlehem in Judea to register with Mary.
She didn't have a home. She was travelling. Travelling's a bit of a nightmare when you're pregnant, even in the car. You know, it must have been awful having to travel the way she did and sleep on floors and things. It's really, you know, sleeping when you're pregnant is difficult because you've got this huge big weight at the front of you. It's uncomfortable, and it must have been really uncomfortable for her.
While they were in Bethlehem, the time came for her to have her baby. She gave birth to her first son, wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them to stay in the inn.
I tell you what, if somebody had a baby in this pub, it would be the highlight of conversation for years and years and years to come.
The true light that enlightens every man was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him. Yet the world did not know him.
It's a story, yes, and it really happened. There's no doubt whatsoever in my own mind. that it really happened. And its expression has taken on many ways. People do enjoy themselves at Christmas and have a good time. I have no problem with that. I think as an innkeeper, for me to help people celebrate. They may not celebrate in the same way as I do. They may not fully understand the same as I do, but that's beside the point. I know what I'm celebrating and I want to celebrate it with people.
And in that region, there were shepherds out in the field keeping watch over their flock by night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them.
Well, I can relate to the shepherds in the story very well at this moment of time. It's getting very cold here. The sun has just gone over the hill. We're at an altitude of 500 feet. The sheep are just settling for the night. And the sun is going down. I can see a very new moon in the sky. We're seeing these things by the order of God, the moon there. And before long a star will be out. And on that great and notable day years ago on Bethlehem's hill, those shepherds sat, and to me, I would have been glad if I'd been there.
Soon afterwards, some men who studied the stars came from the east and asked, "Where is he to be born king?"
I think for me, the story of the wise men is important because it talks about people who looked at the stars, but that wasn't enough, as it's not been for me.
In him was life, and the life was the light of men. To all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God.
It's the Christ that is born in me, and the story begins to live again and begins to interact with my life. And so I can say now that there's room here in this pub. There is room. There was no room in those days but for Jesus and his family, but there is room here.
It's only been for me as I've read the account of this child born in Bethlehem, his crucifixion and resurrection, that I've started to find deeper meaning to the universe.
I'm responsible not only for a flock of sheep here, but the little chapel in the village, which was raised up by people years ago to tell this message, to put it over to people.
And all who heard it wondered what the shepherds told them. But Mary kept all these things, pondering them in her heart.
I think that's just absolutely amazing. I think it's brilliant, you know, and I can learn a lot from that. I hope I'm like Mary if God asked me to do anything quite that amazing.
Reflecting on the past 12 months and looking ahead to 1997, the Archbishop of Canterbury delivers his traditional New Year message here on BBC Wales on 1, now at the new time of midnight on New Year's Eve.
A festive Friday evening on BBC One starts at 6:30 when Jim Davidson and celebrity guests enjoy a seasonal big break. Then at 7...
Mr. Mandarin! What is it? That tonic wine's absolutely marvellous!
The season spirits are running high in Dad's army. And in the Trotter household, the spirit of goodwill lives on.
Isn't it marvellous? The old boy's Raquel a coat and you two have a pot at. I'm sorry, Raquel. I thought it was real. Let's stimulate it first.
At 9:30...
No lawyer has ever left your law firm alive.
Tom Cruise heads a star cast on the run from The Firm. And at midnight...
You know who's happily married, I find? The girl and her mother. That's it.
From the London Palladium, Jackie Mason wraps up Friday night on BBC One.
It's that time of year again.
Surprise!
For generosity.
No presents at all.
Tradition.
Yes, do you like it? I found it in the loft. Oh, it's much more beautiful. Well, you did such a good job with that.
Goodwill. And dressing up. It's all hands on deck for a 2.4 Christmas, Boxing Day at 8:20 on BBC One.
More film comedy now on BBC Wales on 1. John Alderton leads the class from hell in Please Sir.
Oh, sorry. Whoa! Oh! Everything's under control. The joke's over. It's the wrong trousers.
Boxing Day at 4 on BBC One.
That went as well as could be expected, didn't it? Hmm?
Aliens?
Victor's been acting in a very odd way.
You've never looked lovelier.
Cheerful.
Oh, crikey.
The truth is out there.
It is hard to imagine a race of super-intelligent beings hurtling across the solar system every night to get a batty old woman out of bed.
Close Encounters of the Meldrew Kind. 1 Foot in the Grave. Boxing Day at 9 on BBC One.
Victor?
Still with 1 foot in the weather studio, even at this hour of the morning on BBC Wales on One, David Brain.
Hello again. Another very cold night in store for most of us. Temperatures well below freezing. -7 in the Highlands of Scotland, an average of around -2 further south. Now we're going to see a change in the weather being brought about by a weather front moving down from the north. Now already it's producing a little bit of cloud up to the north and west of Scotland as we start to see some drizzle. That'll turn to sleet and then snow as it meets the Highlands of Scotland. This weather front drifting across the north of Scotland, then down the eastern side of the British Isles, and even here we're likely to see 1 or 2 wintry showers through both Thursday and Friday. So the forecast for today, some sunshine in the south, but I think cloudy conditions across Northern Ireland, western and northern parts of Scotland, producing outbreaks of sleet, then snow, especially over the high ground, and some of that creeping a little further south during the course of the afternoon. The best of the sunshine really for Wales and central and southern parts of England. Now there could be some problems for those using the roads, the high roads in particular, not just for northern Scotland but also in Northern Ireland, because there could be some sleet and snow and certainly plenty of icy patches on the roads. By Friday, that band of cloud moves down into the eastern side of England, producing 1 or 2 sleet and snow showers, but those tending to die away with brighter weather moving in from the west. And that's the forecast.
Well, we're well into Boxing Day now, and we're going to take a break in transmissions for a few hours here on BBC Wales on One. If the children are already bored with their presents, well then sit them down in front of the telly tomorrow morning. Children's BBC begins at 6 o'clock. I shall be back tomorrow evening. I do hope you can join us again for some great films and some brilliant Christmas specials. But for now, on behalf of all my colleagues here at Broadcasting House in Cardiff, this is Rob Finnegan wishing you a pleasant and peaceful night. North Star.